Hi everybody, this is Judy at Judi in the Kitchen. You know these little packets that come in vitamin bottles and other types of pills, maybe in a new purse or electronic items or other items? Have you ever thought about reusing them? There's drying agents in there that help to absorb moisture out of the air to protect whatever it is they're in. We can reuse those things, so I suggest that when you encounter them, you save them. Maybe in an empty vitamin bottle or a mason jar or a heavy-duty plastic bag or two in there. Save them. I've got some suggestions on how you can reuse those little packets. First of all, add some to clothes and blankets when you're storing them all season. Have you ever noticed that when you go to use something that's been stored and you open that bin, it's kind of stale smelling in there, maybe a little bit musty? Well, if you add some of those drying packets to that box or bin, it will help to prevent that mustiness that's in there, because they'll be soaking up some moisture out of the air during the off season when those things are being stored. Try it sometime. You can also add them to a container or box where you're storing old, precious photographs. If moisture gets into those boxes, those photos may tend to stick together, and that can absolutely ruin them. Some of these old photos are priceless. They may be of people that have passed on or are children and they're now grown, and the pictures are when they were babies. These things can't be replaced. So to help preserve those photographs, put some of those packets in the bin or box with the photos, so that will help to prevent that problem from happening. You can also add some of those packets to a bin or a box where you're storing old, very important documents. Maybe it's a birth certificate, a death certificate, a marriage license, titles to property that you have. Those are important documents that you don't want to lose. You don't want to see age and to be destroyed. Adding some of those packets to those boxes or bins can help to preserve those items, so give that a try. Now, if you're like me, if you have extra seeds for your garden, what do you do with them? If you're like me, you store them, but one way to help preserve those seeds is to keep them good and dry, and by adding some packets of that drying agent, that desiccant, to the plastic bag or wherever you're storing your seeds, that can help to preserve them. So do remember that, and they may last longer for you that way. Another thing you can do with your drying packets is to store them in with divvied out pills and vitamins. You know, the containers that have the different days of the week and the breakfast, lunch, supper compartments in there. If you've ever used those and you've recognized that the pills can get kind of sticky a little bit after they're in there for a while, that's because moisture is in that compartment. Adding a packet of this drying agent can help to prevent that and preserve those pills in the best way, so that when you go to use them, they're fresh. You can also use those drying packets to help keep dry pet food dry, especially if you buy it in bulk and you've got a great big bag of it or a big tin of it. Every time you open that, you're allowing air to get in there, and there's moisture in the air. So if you put some of those drying packets in that dry food, it will help to keep it fresher for your beloved pets. Now, one word of caution: when you're divvying out the food, make sure there's not a packet in there. You do not want your pet to eat that packet. They are not edible. Okay, so if you know you've added them to there, be watching for them when you go to use that food, please. Here's a tip that can help men and women alike. A lot of us use razors in the bathroom. Well, we do know that they're expensive to buy. They don't last all that long. A couple tips here. One would be to dry it off really well every time you're finished using it. But you can take it one step further, store it in an airtight container. But in that container, put a couple of those drying packets in there, and that will help to soak up any more of the moisture that might happen to be left on that razor. That'll help to keep it sharp. It will also help to keep it from rusting and prolong the life of it. Why not save a buck or two along the way? Those things are expensive. You can also use those desiccant packets to help keep dry food dry. Now I'm talking about people food here, not just pet food. Let's say you have an opened container of crackers or rice or pasta or breadcrumbs or something like that. Anytime we open those packages and allow air in there, we also allow some moisture in there as well. So drop a packet or two of the desiccant packs in there, and that will help to soak up any moisture that's made its way into those packages. Now again, just like with pet food, when you go to use that food, remember that you've put that packet in there and watch for it. Don't allow it to get into your finished food product, because they are not edible and you don't want to be destroying, ruining food that way. So do remember, be mindful if you've put it in there to make sure you're not adding it to your banana bread or something like that. Now what do you do with these things after they've been used and they've got moisture in them? Can you revive them? Absolutely don't throw them away, just keep on collecting them. When you've got some packets that have been used and there's moisture in there, I have 3 different ways that you can dry them out. One way would be to put them on a tray and put them outside in the sun on a very hot, dry day. Make sure it's not a humid day, a dry day. And that radiation from the sun will help to dry them out. That's the most natural way you're going to encounter to be able to dry those things back out. Another way would be to put them on a baking tray and put them in your oven. On the lowest temperature it will go, and allow them to stay in there for a couple, maybe an hour, 2 hours at the most, depending upon the temperature of the oven. The lowest temp varies from brand to brand. If you notice the color of the packet itself starting to change, get dark, maybe the oven is too hot for it, maybe they've been in there too long, take them out, okay? And then return them to your storage container. Another way to dry them out, if you have a dehydrator, put them in the dehydrator, roughly around 120 degrees or so, and allow them to stay in there for 2 hours, maybe even longer. Longer won't hurt. Overnight, even if you really want to be sure that they're good and dry, it won't hurt to leave them in there longer than necessary. I think that's actually going to be one of the best ways to dry them back out once you've used them. I do want you to know that this is only a partial list of what I've got. I've got complete notes on this with many, many more tips on my blog site. The link is below in the description box. It was way too many items to put in this video. So do check this out. The list is long. Let me know if you have other suggestions. I'll add them to the list. This is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Bye for now.